Hi, welcome back. So in this session, we are going to talk about what is Docker, what is container, introduction basically, to understand the basic concept before we go for further hands-on sessions. So this is the Docker history. Initially in 2004, there was some initiative around Solaris containers and zones. So they started from this Solaris container. Later, slowly started around Linux container, LXC. It was very famous during 2008. And slowly there was a person, Solomon Hicks, starts Docker as an internal project. And slowly it got developed and as an open source. And officially 2016 February, they first introduced the commercial product, of course, with a lot of challenges. Now it's called Docker Enterprise Edition. As on today, it's really huge monthly image downloads and even around 7 million applications currently with Docker. There are 39 million developers and 318 billion every month. There is a pull is happening from the common hub.docker.com. 8.3 million hub repositories and 7.3 million Docker accounts, 3.3 million desktop installation also. So these are all taken from recent community official data. So we will go with the further. What is the Docker family? So the family wise, there was a Moby project with the open source framework. So it is divided to two. One is enterprise edition and community edition. So if you are looking for Docker journey in your career, so I would suggest to go with Docker Community Edition. You can do most of the functionality apart from the production grade. You can explore it, but it is a really good start. Go with Community Edition. So which is completely free. We are going to see a further hands-on how to configure, how to automate, how to integrate everything as with command lines. We also add the necessary commands in the GitHub repository. You can download those commands along with the video session. You can start do on your own lab. And further we will carry out. So there is a one application previously Docker. There is a one server machine. So in that server machine, we used to get one OS installed. On top of this, we will install the application. So if I want to install new, again, I will take one more machine, install it OS, and in that OS, there is a app deployment. So here, straight away, there is a OS dependency. Say, for example, my application name is app1. The app1 for Windows, app1 for Linux, app1 for, so whatever the OS architectures in your environment, you need to have the relevant releases. This is also one of the major challenge previously. And of course, this lead to slow deployment times, and there was a huge operational cost. I mean the resources, and the resources was not able to manage efficiently. And of course, the scaling part also. Someone if they are releasing any new features which they are expecting additional volume or traffic, then they have to do a capacity management very advanced with the required resources has to be procured, configured, everything. So it is really mess previously. And even the migrate also, as I said, most of the legacy part will have a direct OS dependency. And of course, the vendor lock-in. These are all slowly getting disappeared because we are in Docker era. And after this, there is a hypervisor based. So here also, the same physical machine, and there is a host operating system, and you need to have the hypervisor OS. If you go with VMware, there is a ESX, and each vendor their own hypervisor OS. On top of this, you will install VM1. You can create a VM2. You can create a VM3, but still, this VM is having their own OS. You need to install another OS. You need to install another. So again, you are wasting the resources here. So these are all will be clarified and removed in the Docker infrastructure straightforward. And even the VM concept is each VM we seen in the last slide, right? So each VM requires a CPU and compute and memory capacity. The more VMs you run, the more resources you need. Okay, so this is the exact removal from the Docker era. So what is the containers? Container is nothing but you take one machine. In that machine, anyway, you will have one OS, right? Say Linux or Windows. In Windows, you install Docker for Windows, basically a Docker engine. In that Docker engine, okay, you create one container. You create another container. You create another container. So as per this chart, there is a Tomcat, there is a SQL, there is a Alpine one image. So basically 3 machine, but each machine doesn't have OS at all, only libraries. So all these 3 containers will act as a machine, but it is sharing the same base OS with the help of Docker engine. We'll see it in the hands-on, don't worry. And comparing the containers and VMs. So basically, here you have a physical infrastructure. You have your OS, physical infrastructure, and you have your OS. And on top of OS, say for example, Windows, then you need to install Docker for Windows. If you have a Linux, then you need to install Docker for Linux. What version? Red Hat means Docker for Red Hat, Docker for Ubuntu. So based on this, on top of this Docker engine, you are creating the necessary containers. The containers always will have the necessary binaries and libraries with your code. So it will be very lightweight. The spinning also very fast. I would say not only very fast, it's really fast. Okay, and everything will share the common kernel. And in the VM level, okay, and the same infrastructure, physical infrastructure, there is a hypervisor. On top of this, they are creating a VM. In that VM, they are going to deploy the Docker engine and create the necessary containers. And the same logic here with a different representation. So app 1 in VM infrastructure, you need to install OS 1, OS 2, OS 3. And you need to install your specific application and deploy your code. So here you have to have another overhead on OS. Basically 3 OS, you need to take care of it. The relevant allocation, capacity, everything. But here I have only one OS. I'm installing Docker software irrespective of what OS I have. And on top of this, I'll create a container 1, container 2, container 3. It's really straightforward, but these containers will run only on top of Docker. So the flexibility is, if you have another machine, say for example, this is Linux, okay, and in this Linux you install Docker for Linux, okay. You have another machine which is on Windows, okay. In this Windows, you install Docker for Windows, Docker for Windows. So you can take this container and run it here. It won't be a problem. But here it will be a problem because each and everything will have base OS dependency. But here, as long as this container is fine with the Docker engine, it will run smoothly without any issues. This is a major advantage where nowadays most of the clients, most of the business started interest towards microservices. And here also one of the another representation, most of the projects, instead of going directly to the production related architecture, in development, they have some standalone, okay, to test first. So they have one physical machine. In that they have one OS, and relevant to OS they have the Docker engine, okay, one Docker engine, and in that Docker engine they are testing the relevant applications as a container. So if they tested, they will push it onto Docker image repository. You can say registry. We'll see it in later in detail with the hands-on. So the moment I post out in production, I have some clustered redundancy infrastructure. You just call the same container here. It will work because here I have tested on top of Docker only. Here I already have a Docker setup, so it will run without any issues, right? This also one of the thing we need to plan it. And what is the major benefit for Docker containers? First one is speed. The spinning time is going to be enormous speed because we are straight away removing the OS dependency on each container, because each container is having only binaries and libraries with the relevant code. So the portability, you can move it to anywhere because straightforward this Docker removing the base OS dependency. And efficiency. So since we don't have much OS overhead, of course the efficiency also getting improved massive. And the Docker, when we talk about Docker, there is a couple of parameters we need to understand. Docker image, the container, and Docker engine, and Docker registry. Basically, this registry is the area where you used to have custom images, or you have some good image from some other repository. You can download it and store it here because you want to use it for your business with some little bit modification, or sometimes you are trying to use the same image. So put it in your own registry, and with the proper tagging and control plane, this is the basically a management purpose for all your container managed through this. And so basically building a software supply chain. So this is one of the core is the developers keep on develop their application as a image, Docker image, and push it onto the Docker image repository. Okay, and here the traditional also they used to push it, right? What will happen is these people, whenever they want to run something, they will immediately download the relevant image, spin it onto the containers, relevant containers. Okay, so this will give you a straightforward, this has to be automated. We will see it in a very detailed way. Why? Because this image push should have a lot of checkpoints. Say for example, developer is received some bug. Okay, he is trying to fix it. Okay, once he fixed the bug, okay, he has to go for all validation before creating the image. once created image, it has to validate whether successful for all checkpoint. Once everything is clear, then only the image repository should be pushed out successful. Otherwise, what will happen is the wrong image will be keep on pushed to the image repository. When we need it, we are downloading the image. What happened? Because the image which already post, it's a corrupted image, correct? So these are all checkpoint we need to make sure. As part of CI/CD help, we will have one more exercise in this. We will see it in hands-on with the scripts. So you can go and download the relevant script from GitHub repository. Along with this session video, you can do the complete CI/CD automation in Docker. So this is also one of the representation which you need to have more clarity. There is a build environment, there is a shipping environment, there is a run. This is a exact production, right? Shipping means you need to have proper checkpoint. They are keep on fixing the bug, fix it, but you need to validate it before you launch anything in production. You need to validate it. This is the phase you need to do that. So how we are going to do this is there are 3 YAML files we are going to create, and in with the help of the YAML file, we are going to achieve the exact scenario. 1, there is a validation. 2, there is a spinning in actual running containers. 3. These 3 stage with the help of simple YAML file with the CI/CD, we will do it in hands-on in upcoming session. And building a secure supply chain. This also one of the representation. The same logic, whatever we are discussing, but here you need to understand that there is a orchestration is possible in Docker engine. This Docker engine basically it's running on top of physical machine on top of one OS, which we discussed in the previous slides. So in this representation, starting from direct Docker engine. So Docker engine capable to orchestrate, and container can be pushed or provisioned immediately, and even distributed way of deployments, and volumes also can be attached as long as I need for persistent volume across my application running containers. And network also can be customizable, and security we need to apply in all levels. And of course, there is a private repository will be configured. So in this course, we will see a public repository handling with the custom image as well as private image repository, because the person who is coming to learn Docker and Kubernetes environment, he should have both knowledge. The reason is wherever he go to any project, I would strongly recommend to explore both, because clients never go with public repository, private repository only, because the data is very sensitive, right? So how do we implement the secure access? And application cluster management also, we can do it through Docker and architecture. And image, this is what I just explained. Even the last further slides, we will have a clear-cut workflow image. And during this process itself, we will validate the necessary image, whether it's a right image or corrupted image. And along with the policy, we will enforce the policy management also to achieve this. So there is a traditional app in containers, and we are taking that app, converting as a microservices. So the moment you converted and deployed in provision the microservices, so this can be moved and docked, undocked anywhere, because it's a really, you are removing the base dependency. That is a major one from this point onwards. So there is a Docker engine. So basically the Docker engine will have the network responsibility, will have the container responsibility, and managing all images and all data volumes. So whenever there is any CLI instruction, the Docker engine will receive those CLI instruction using the REST API. Everything will be happening across the flow, and this Docker engine will make sure to talk to the OS kernel, and the relevant task will be completed. And this representation, Docker architecture, basically this is the Docker host. I have containers are running, say first container, second container, third container, and Docker daemon. This is the major part. The Docker daemon will receive everything. So Docker daemon will talk to registry, and the relevant image will be pulled out. First, it will store it in the local, and it will execute it. We'll see it in the hands-on also. So whatever we are discussing, we will see it in step-by-step hands-on. So don't worry. So the application programming interface, all this communication will happen through API. And container images. So normally we have just discussed about images. You need to create your own image, or you need to take the existing image and store it in the repository, image repository or image registry. After you stored, you have to use those images to spin up the necessary containers and image layers. So images are multiple layers. So every image having their own binaries and libraries, and you are just downloading the relevant image with the relevant tag. The tagging also one of the very crucial in this infrastructure. And Docker registry, just now we have discussed how we are going to store the image on what tagging basis. So based on the tag, you can keep multiple versions according to your bug fixing, according to your release. Everything is possible. And this is the one we have discussed about the CI/CD pipeline. So basically, I have some code. Okay, this code reported some bug, so I'm fixing it. So the developer is sitting somewhere, say somewhere in US. Okay, so the developer is fixing and committing the code. What should happen is, the moment they committed, there should be a trigger. Everything should be automated. There should not be any manual. So automatically this trigger should start. There is a Travis CI. There are a lot of tools. Here we are going to see via Travis CI, because I want to make you to understand a good logic. If you understand this logic, then you can project the same logic for other tools in the market. So the moment I checked, I'm the developer. Okay, then automatically there should be a trigger. Once the trigger happened, automatically I should get the mail alert, because I already configured my mail in the CI/CD pipeline. Automatically the Travis CI, what will happen is, it will check all the functionality in the code, and it will create the image and it will push it. So while pushing, that means the push has been successful, which means the entire code is validated and the image created and the image has been successful. The successful image only pushed to here. If this not working properly, means we'll end up with a lot of nightmare issues on troubleshooting. So this process has to be applied very carefully according to your project. So stay tuned. Hereafter is going to be complete hands-on only for each class. We'll We'll come up with more hands-on labs here. If you have any specific use case, please feel free to submit in the comment section. We will create our necessary POC lab. We'll show you how to do those use cases, and we will create the necessary scripts also. We'll add it to the GitHub. Thanks for watching.